Hi friends, it's Mari. Thank you so much for stopping by today. I'm participating in the Honeybee Stamp Spring Bliss video hop today. Make sure that you leave a comment in the comment section below to be entered for a $25 gift card to the Honeybee shop. I'm going to be using a bunch of products today to create this A2 size card. I've created this card, but I'm going to create it again, making a few changes. I'm going to start off here with the Barnwood plank dies. This is from an older release, but it is one of those die sets that I reach for again and again. I really love it. And this series of dies just cuts out this series of wood grain planks that you can use in a ton of different ways. I'm going to start off here with these die cuts. I'm going to adhere them all down to a piece of, I think this is just photocopy paper. It's not expensive paper or anything, but I've cut those planks out of some white cardstock and I'm just adhering them down in a series. And then I'm going to take another die from my stash from Honeybee. It's an older die. This is the double stitched ovals die. It's one of the dies from that set. And I'm going to use that to cut out a focal area for my card front here. So I'm just going to take that over to my die cutting machine and get that cut out. I'm also going to use a paper from the Playful Pastels paper pad. This is brand new for the Spring Bliss release. These are beautiful pastel papers. It's so pretty. I just think Honeybee Stamps just does such a great job of their paper pads. I'm going to use this really soft pink diagonal plaid for my card front here. I'm going to adhere that down to my A2 size card base. My card base is just a really light pale pink. It's actually a Concord and Ninth ballet slipper card base. I'm also going to use a new die from the Spring Bliss release. This is the Quatrefoil top cover plate, and I've cut that out of some white cardstock, and I'm going to adhere that down to my patterned paper. And it's just going to create that little bit of extra texture on top of that pattern paper. And I just love that nice white crisp design that this creates on the card. I think it just creates a really nice, pretty, crisp amount of texture over top of that plaid. So I'm just going to get that adhered down using my Honeybee Stamps liquid glue tube. And now I'm going to use that oval with that I cut from that Barnwood planks cardstock and get that onto my card. Now I am going to be using the Old Rugged Cross stamp set. This is just such a beautiful stamp set, and I'm going to use some of the images from that set to create the decor or the embellishing for the front of my card. Now I wanted to stamp this out with some really crisp ink, and so I'm using the VersaFine Clair Nocturne ink. I'm stamping that out using my Mini Misty and some Nina Solar White 80-pound cardstock. I'm going to add some clear embossing powder to that to create just a really nice raised dimension to that inked area. So I'll just run that clear embossing powder over top of that black ink, and then I'll take my heat tool to that embossing powder and melt that, and it just creates this really nice dimensional effect with the stamped area. I'm not going to use all of these images on my project today, but I am going to use most of them. Now I'm going to do some really simple and basic coloring with my Faber-Castell Polychromos. I really like using my color pencils to color images for my projects. I find that it's just really simple and easy to do. And I do really love how my Faber-Castell Polychromos blend together. Pretty similar to, I'm sure, other color pencil brands that you have in your stash. But these are the ones that I reach for the most, and they're similar to my Prismacolors for sure, but I feel like I reach for these ones a little bit more often. And I wanted to just start with a light yellow and then go in with kind of like an orangey tone to do the shading in the areas where the lines are on that stamped image. And I'll just blend back and forth with those two colors for that little flower until I'm happy with how that looks. I'm going to use a combination of pinks and greens for the rest of the image. And like I said, this is just really super simple. I'm not going to show you the entire coloring process because I'm not doing anything complicated here. It's just really fun and easy to do. And I especially just love doing this when the image has that embossed edge, just because I feel like it just adds that little bit of extra detail. So I've got my images all colored up now, and I'm ready to start adhering them onto that oval. One thing I do want to apologize for is how crooked my camera is. I hate it when I realize that my mat, the grids on my mat are crooked on the video, so I do apologize for that. Usually I get it a little bit straighter than that, but anyway, something happened today and I just didn't quite do that, so I do apologize for that. I'm using foam adhesive on my oval and also on my stamped images here just to give the card front lots of dimension. You definitely don't have to do that, but you know, it's just a look that I like, and some people don't want that much dimension on their project, and that's fine, but I definitely added lots of dimension with my foam adhesive here. Now I did cut an extra layer for the cross using the die from the coordinating die set for the old rugged cross stamps, and that there are a few different cross dies in there, and so that you can layer these. Now this one layers beautifully over top of that stamped image, and I did cut that cross from some sugar crystal glitter cardstock. I'm also going to add my die cut pieces here that I colored, and this beautiful little floral here, I'm going to add that to the front of my cross. And then those foliage pieces that I cut, I'm actually going to trim them down a little bit with my scissors so that they just are a little bit shorter. And I'm just using a glue dot to stick them in behind that focal flower on the front of the cross so that it just looks like those leaves are part of that flower piece there. So I'm all finished with that now, and I want to stamp out my sentiments. So I have, again, some Nina cardstock in my Mini Misty. I'm going to stamp out the With Sympathy sentiment from the old Rugged Cross stamp set. And I've stamped that out again with my VersaFine Clair Nocturne ink. And I'm using, again, the same clear embossing powder. I'm going to melt that with my embossing tool, heat tool. My heat tool, I should say. And now I've got the coordinating die from the old Rugged Cross coordinating die set. I'm going to die cut out my sentiment, which I love. I love the font of that stamp, of that sentiment. I think it's really pretty. And I'm going to add that on with some foam adhesive onto the front of my card here for my sentiment today. And that's really going to finish off the main part of my card. I'm going to add a little bit of stickles and some gems to my card to finish it off, but most of the work has been finished here for this card. Please make sure, as you watch me finish the details on this card, make sure that you also don't forget to comment on this video for your chance to win that $25 gift card from Honeybee Stamps. I have linked up to all of the different products that I have used in my video today in the description box below. If you click on those links, you will be taken over to the Honeybee Stamp shop where you can make a purchase of any of the products that I've used today or any of the products in the shop. Honeybee shop is full of fantastic products, not just stamps and dies, but all kinds of other accoutrements. And so make sure that you check that out. I am going to use my craft pick here to take some of the Pretty Pastels gems, and I'm going to just use some really soft colors here. This is a sympathy card. I don't want it to be too bold. I just want it to be just really light and soft. And I love these really light pink soft gems. They're so pretty. And so I'm just going to use 3 of those, one in the top area and 2 kind of tucked into the foliage there as well, and flowers on the cross. And then I'm, like I said, also going to use a little tiny bit of stickles on that main flower on the front of the cross. And these are just some, I think, diamond stickles, or just let me check. These ones are icicle. Yeah, and so that's the color of stickles I use there. So just really subtle. Thank you so much for stopping by, and thank you so much for staying to the end of my video. I really appreciate it. I love how this card turned out, and I do find that unfortunately I use a lot of sympathy cards, and it is always good to have a good stash of these ready to go. Have an amazing day, everybody. Stay safe, stay well, and I'll see you another time. Bye-bye.